Hey everybody, Erica Serwin here from Pinkbucker Designs. I've got a fun little project for you today that features the Island Vibes Celebration Stamp Set. This stamp set is only available through the end of February 2022, and it's only available for free. You can get it as one of your choices when you spend $50 or more online. This is a really fun stamp set. I think it's a little bit of a sleeper in the celebration catalog. The pineapple and the leaves are fantastic. We're going to use both of these today. Inside is, of course, some pineapple gum. This is a slider box. The ribbon will help you slide the gum in and out. The gum was found at Target in the checkout aisle. Easy to find. No problem. Now the sentiment, as you notice, this has no words, so you'll need to use your other sentiment stamps. I used, this one is from Sweet as a Peach, and it says, "To a sweet friend." Isn't that perfect? Thought that was a great sentiment. All right, let's make our holder first. You're going to need your Simply Scored. Grab that, and a piece of Early Espresso cardstock. Now this cardstock measures 5.5 by 4 1/4, so it's just a quarter sheet of cardstock. We're going to score the long side at 2 1/8, 2 1/2, 4 5/8, and 5. Turn it and score the short end at 3/8, which is 1, 2, 3 tick marks, and 3/4. Okay. All right. Now you're going to want to get your bone folder, and we're going to trim these or burnish these. I'm thinking about the next step where we're going to trim the bottom. All right, now grab your scissors. Over here on this section, we're going to cut both of these rectangles out. Okay, so just cut those right off. Now we're going to cut this little square off and that little square off, and we're going to take this and cut it in. Okay, so it's a little flap. Now we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to cut these two off. We're going to cut that little square off, and then we're going to cut up so we have a little flap. Now, take your scissors and cut the corners off of this bottom strip, as well as this side strip right here. All right, so that's what your piece looks like. If you need to pause the video so you can see it, that is what it looks like. All right, I think we'll use tear and tape. I think tear and tape would be a good choice here. I'm going to take a piece of tear and tape, and I'm going to go all the way across this side, smaller little lip here, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this skinny one down here. Okay, there we go. Now, let's remove that backing. And we're going to fold this over. It makes a very narrow box. It's only 3/8 of an inch wide. Okay, see that? Now let's take this off. Like that. And we'll fold in those little flaps, and then we'll fold this up into the bottom of the box, and that will seal it closed. And that's what your box looks like. Now, I am using Early Espresso faux suede ribbon. This is a beautiful ribbon. I'm going to wrap it around like this, and I'm going to tie it here at the top. All right, let's go ahead and tie it. Just a bow here. And then we can slide it into our box. There we go. Okay, and then it'll just slide right in there. It's a pretty tight fit, but that's how it's designed. There we go. See how that slides? Okay, now let's make the decorations on the front. This is the fun part. Okay, we are going to use a piece of layering vellum. This is printed vellum that has like a book print on the top. And I just noticed right there, it says palms and ferns. How convenient, because that's what we're using, are some palm leaves. All right, so my grid paper has run away. Let's pull this over here. We're going to stamp these palm fronds on the top and the bottom. We're going to use, I'm using garden green. Now the only problem here is that the ink is not going to dry immediately on your vellum. Vellum is not a porous surface, so the ink kind of sits on top and it will smear. So what we've got to do is help in the drying process. Now, I think if you let it sit for several hours, it would be dry, but we don't have that kind of time. So I'm just going to take my heat tool and very carefully dry it. Your heat tool will get hot and it will cause your vellum almost to like melt. So be real careful while you do this. Just kind of hold it from afar, moving it around, and you'll be able to see it turn non-shiny. It won't be shiny anymore. All right, I think that's pretty good. Now we'll put this on our box. I have found that Stampin' Seal goes great underneath vellum. You really can't see it. So I'm just going to use Stampin' Seal on that. All right. Now how about we make that pineapple? The easiest way I have found to make the pineapple is to use your Stamparatus. So I'm going to get that pineapple out of here. And we're going to stamp it on crumb cake, not basic white. You could do basic white if you wanted, but I kind of wanted to go for a rustic feel, kind of a vintage feel. So I'm going to lay it down on here, and I'm going to get my Post-it tape, and I'm going to mask off the top. All right, and I'll ink the bottom. This time I'm going to do Bumblebee ink. Okay, I have another project that you can see with a pineapple from Island Vibes. And that time I used soft suede. Just depends on the look you want. Now, I don't think that's dark enough, so I'm going to do it again. The beauty of the Stamparatus is that it will allow you to stamp the same image multiple times until you get it to where you like it. Sometimes when you stamp, you know, one side didn't go all the way down or it's not dark enough. So the Stamparatus lets you do that. So that's perfect. Looks good. I'm going to use my chamois to wipe that ink off. Give it a few seconds to dry. And then we're going to do the same thing, except this time we're going to do the top. So we will cover that up with Post-it tape like that. Grab our garden green again. And be careful because that will get ink on you. Just like the vellum. The ink sits on top of that, doesn't dry. There we go. Beautiful. All right, now let's also stamp our sentiment. We're going to do that on basic white this time. We're going to use, let's see, it looks like I use Early Espresso, which I don't have here. So how about we use garden green? We're going to improvise. To a Sweet Friend. Okay, now let's cut this out. This does not have a matching die, so you're going to need to use your paper snips. Paper snips are perfect for fussy cutting because they're sharp and they're little and they can get in here like this in between these points of our pineapple. All right, so I'm just going to go in and cut out the paper like that. I'm not cutting right on the edge. You'll see the edge is not smooth. It's kind of a, I don't know, a speckled edge as the texture of the pineapple looks. So I'm going to stay on the outside of it. It will have kind of a crumb cake tiny, tiny crumb cake edge around the whole thing. Also notice I'm using my opposite hand to turn the paper. I'm not really turning my scissors. And I'm staying in the middle of the blade here. I'm not getting towards the end of my scissors. You want to use the middle of that blade. All right, again, cut the extra off as you go. And then we're almost there. We're going to use the message die to cut out our sentiment. All right, there we go. That looks pretty good. Let's bring over our cut and emboss machine, and I want to show you something else that I have done. I have already cut out some of our metallic paper, gold metallic paper with this die, which is from the Sweetheart dies. Oops. And let's bring that back up here. I want the other end to be flagged, so I'm just going to lay this right here, and I don't want it to do anything down here. I don't think it would, but I'm just going to cover that end, so it'll just cut that end to match it. All right, so let's see how that looks. There we go. All right, so I've made it a double flag end. Now we will cut this one, and I'm going to use this die right here, or this shape right here. This is the message die. You have so many options when you use the message die. The little skinny one is just perfect for this. Now, make sure you hop back to my blog. There's going to be a full supply list as well as measurements that you'll need. So hop back over there. And I am using, now I'm going to get the names wrong, Heart and Home Designer Series paper, I believe, from the spring catalogs. That's why you got to go back to my blog, because I make sure that I list them all correctly over there. All right, a circle right in the middle. Then we will do our gold banner right there. And we're going to put our pineapple. And I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive here so that it's flat against this, like that. And that dimensional is holding it up there. I've got a little heart. This is an early espresso heart to match our cardstock and our ribbon, cut from the Give It a Whirl dies. And, oh no, I've smeared the ink on my sentiment. Well, shoot. That's all right. For the video, I will just put that on there. And after the video, I will do another one that won't be smeared. Many dimensionals. My fingers get inky from that Post-it tape. I warned you guys, and I wasn't careful. All right, there you have it, you guys. A really fun 3D project that you can make with your Island Vibes Celebration stamp set. Don't forget to snag it before it's gone. It will be available through the end of February 2022. Thanks, everybody. Let me know if you have questions. Bye-bye.